Hello and happy Wednesday. Today on the Busy Bride podcast, we are chatting about what to look for in a venue from a photo perspective when choosing it for your wedding. Because I just went through this as a bride and a wedding photographer, and I want to share what I thought through with you. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the Busy Bride podcast. I'm your host, Gabriella Marie, and I created this podcast to help you research vendors and learn valuable advice as you plan the most special and true to you wedding day of your dreams. Let's get started. Okay, so first caveat. As a wedding photographer, I photograph so many different types of venues. So many different types. And that's part of wedding photography because there are different types of venues to photograph in. There's the outdoor ceremony venues. There's the indoor church ceremony venues. There's the reception venues that are the big ballrooms. There are tent receptions. There are more intimate room receptions. So many different types of spaces that I photograph in as a wedding photographer. When I was choosing my own wedding venue for when my fiance and I are getting married this spring, I knew I wanted an outdoor wedding ceremony. I've always wanted an outdoor wedding ceremony, but there are some extra things to think about with that. I knew I wanted a reception space that had some natural light pouring in because we are getting married at a time of year when the sun stays out really late, which is wonderful. And I knew that I wanted space for getting ready pictures and things like that. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what I thought through. And I'm going to do so chronologically speaking throughout the course of a standard wedding day. So let's start with getting ready. Things to think about from a photo perspective when choosing your getting ready location. A lot of venues around Philly actually don't let couples enter the premises of the wedding venue more than 2 hours before the ceremony starts, which means if you're getting professional hair and makeup done, chances are you're going to need to do that somewhere else. And so many couples will book either a hotel suite or an Airbnb for these beginning of the day getting ready photos when hair and makeup happens and, you get dressed for the day. So when considering choosing a space for this to happen, the first thing to consider is space. Is there enough space for your wedding party to be there comfortably and still have breathing room and clean spaces for pictures? Because there's going to be a lot going on, especially if you're getting hair and makeup done. There's going to be seats and lights and kits brought in for that. There's going to be belongings for all of your wedding party members. There just needs to be space. So space for all of those things to be there and then still have clean rooms for photos to happen so that we're not shoving things in the corners to make space for one group photo with your bridesmaids all in their getting ready pajamas, which again, if that happens, totally fine. This is just something to think about when preparing for your wedding day. So space. Also, is there space to take getting ready pictures of you getting into the dress and fluff the dress train and the veil out fully? Because dress trains are sometimes quite large. And if it's a more intimate, crowded getting ready space, there may not be space to fully fluff out the dress. I've actually had that before. In that case, we take more bridal portraits elsewhere, but having space for the dress to be fluffed out while your mom buttons up the back of your dress is really nice to have. So space is something to consider. How many windows are there? Is there a lot of natural light pouring in? If so, I would freaking love that as a photographer. I love using natural light indoors, especially because getting ready happens during the day. So there is natural light pouring in. If there's not that many windows and there's a lot of artificial light being used, I'm more likely going to use flash for the getting ready pictures so that there's no harsh shadows or weird colors on your face in the pictures. So flash is wonderful. It makes the lighting very even. But a lot of people, when they think about getting ready pictures, are picturing natural light without even realizing it. So is there space? Are there lots of windows? And the last thing is, what color are the walls? Because this also makes an impact. If the walls are white or neutral color, that's going to give a very clean feel to the pictures, which in turn kind of makes the pictures feel elevated as well. If there's just clean space, it draws the focus of the photo to you, to your bridesmaids, to your details, instead of to the decorations and colors in the background. So that's getting ready. The second thing actually doesn't have to do with photography per se, but it's the amount of travel on a wedding day, because this impacts the photography timeline. So not so much photos, but just when things can happen and how squeezed and jam-packed things are. If there is a lot of travel on your wedding day, there's not as much breathing room to just be and to get candid photos of things happening. There will be tons of candid photos on your wedding day, regardless of the amount of travel, but reducing the amount of travel allows for more space in the photography timeline, which allows for more candid photos in the photography timeline. And I know many couples do love candid photos from their wedding day. So that's a little extra thing to think about, is the amount of travel on your wedding day. Moving to the ceremony, things to think about from a photo perspective. If it's an outdoor ceremony, what direction is the sun going to be facing you? This is like the most niche you could possibly get for like photo things, but it's something that I think about as a wedding photographer, because if the sun is behind you getting married and facing the crowd, yes, they're going to have to probably wear sunglasses for your wedding day, but also it means that there are no harsh shadows on you and your spouse as you're getting married, which also means when you step in for your first kiss, there's no harsh shadows there. If the sun is instead facing you, you're going to be a little more toasty. Like it's facing you from like the guest side, and the sun is directly on you from where I'll be taking pictures. There's going to be some harsh shadows under your eyes, under your nose, under your chin. And then when you come in for the first kiss, there might be like a line of dark shadow, like right where you guys are kissing, which can be lightened up in post-production, but there's still going to be a shadow there. So the direction of the sun basically is like, will there be lots of shadows on your faces for the ceremony or not? Then the other question is, what does the shade look like? Are you in the shade? Is it half shade, half not shade? This also impacts wedding photos, because again, if the ceremony is happening during the day, and the sun is like super bright, and one person getting married is in the shade and one person getting married is in the sun, there's going to be some big discrepancies there in the pictures. And again, you're still getting married, it's going to be beautiful pictures of you getting married, but it's not going to be an evenly lit picture. Third thing for outdoor ceremonies, is the rain backup plan also beautiful? Because you can never, ever, ever, ever predict what the weather is going to do on your wedding day. This is a side note, when I created my 2025 wrapped post for wedding photography, I tallied up the types of weather that we dealt with on the wedding day, and the most popular wedding day, it was actually a tie between sunny, which is wonderful, and all three possible like weather patterns of sun, rain, and clouds. There was a lot of crazy weather last year. There were some weddings where it did rain during the ceremony, some where it rained in the morning, but then the sun came out for the ceremony, others where it was just, I don't know, all over the place. So what I mean to say is, you can never, ever predict what the weather's going to be like, not only on your wedding day, but for your ceremony time. So when choosing a wedding venue, if you're doing an outdoor ceremony, you should also love the rain backup plan. I'm going to get into indoor ceremonies now next. If you're doing an indoor ceremony, either in a church or at a venue, how much natural light is there? Because if there is a lot of natural light, but as a photographer, I will use that natural light in your wedding pictures. But if there's not a lot of natural light, or if there's no natural light, we're going to have to use artificial lighting. So that either looks like using the lights that are naturally there in the venue, or bringing in flash for your ceremony. I try not to use flash during wedding ceremonies because it's very distracting for you and for your guests to have like pops of flash going off as you're reciting vows to each other and getting married. I feel like that's a little bit too distracting for a ceremony, and it's worth it for you to have a better non-intrusive memory of your ceremony than it is to have great lighting for your ceremony photos. So that's my personal stance as a wedding photographer. But there are also options to bring in constant lights. Some indoor venues will have these already, and that's great. And some don't. That's going to give like a spotlight effect almost on your ceremony. If there is no professional lighting equipment, but there's no windows, it's going to have a very kind of shadowy look to it, more tungsten lighting on you. And then if there's a lot of windows, then there's a lot of natural light coming in, and it's a bit more natural, evenly lit, I would say. A bit more evenly lit for the ceremony. A lot thrown at you right there, but that's things to consider for the indoor ceremony and also for your main backup plan ceremony. Okay, moving on now. There's 2 more things I want to get to. For portraits, so like formal pictures of you and your spouse, formal pictures of your wedding party of your family. Number 1, is there space for big group portraits? There are a few wedding venues that I absolutely love, but there's not a ton of space for bigger pictures for people to line up and take a picture together. So that's something to consider if you have a big wedding party or a really big family that you want taking pictures together. Is there space for everybody to gather together and not be squeezed in for group portraits? So that's one. And then the second one is there a variety of areas to go to for couples portraits? So are we going to be taking pictures kind of on the same place, which you can do. You can get a lot of variation just by doing a 360. Or are we going to be traveling around in a golf cart? And if so, is there time for that in the schedule? Last thing for portraits is there an area for outdoor portraits for family, wedding party, couples portraits outside? And is there indoor areas for family, wedding party, and couples portraits? Because again, you never know what the weather's going to do, so you need to make sure there's space for both outdoor portraits and indoor portraits. And last but not least, in thinking about your reception, I had a little bit of an extra thought when it came to my reception because I knew that we were getting married at the end of May, which means the sun is out until 8:30, super late. And our reception started before the sun went down by 2 hours. So that's a good chunk of time where there could be natural light flooding into the reception area. So we chose a venue that actually has skylights and lots of windows and open doors in the reception area so that there could be natural light flowing in and it's not, using flash all night long. Different times of the year are going to give different things. So a winter wedding, you're going to have to use flash all night long because the sun sets so early. But I really love the ability to have some natural light flowing in at the reception. So that's a little more of a niche thing. But something that's more general to consider is what is the space like for the dance floor? Is it a natural occurring space? Does it make sense for you to be in the center of the dance floor and everybody's kind of around you? Or is the dance floor kind of off to the side? Because that's going to impact your pictures as well. And then this is the hardest thing to decide. You want there to be space for everybody to dance, but you don't want there to be too much space where it feels intimidating to approach the dance floor. This is so hard to decide ahead of time. But looking at pictures from other weddings happening at your venue will give you a better idea of what this will look like, especially if you can ask your venue or the venue that you're touring if they know the approximate number of guests that were at the wedding that they show you the pictures of people on the dance floor. That will help. But you don't want a crammed dance floor, but you don't want a too spacious dance floor because it's intimidating and some people may not want to do dance on a crazy big dance floor because it feels like all eyes are on them. And it's not the case, but it feels like it. Oh, that was a doozy of an episode. There's so many things to consider, and I definitely didn't cover everything. But those are the main things that I considered when choosing a wedding venue as a wedding photographer from a photo perspective. As a general recap, I feel like one of the biggest things is space. Is there space for things to be happening? And then the lighting is huge as well. If it's indoors, is there natural light? And if it's outdoors, are we going to be in direct sun? Are we going to be in shade? What are the shadows going to look like? So I hope that was helpful. I hope that didn't overwhelm you too much. If you have any questions from the episode, absolutely DM me on Instagram. I would love to answer your more specific questions. You can find me at Gabriella Marie Audi. I'll spell that out for you. GABRIELLAMARIEAUDI. It's a long name, so I wanted to spell it. But I'd love to answer your more specific questions because there was a lot of information going there. So hit me up on Instagram if you have questions. And other than that, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate your time. Now go hug your person, and I will see you next Wednesday.